We started, now it's 11:15. That's all we have. It's 11. Hey, what should we do? Baruch Hashem, we're growing at Chabad and getting busy here. Thank God. So it's all good things. Hell yeah. Okay, is everybody here? Let's start. We're holding a chapter 4 of Tanya, a beautiful chapter in Tanya, which the Alter Rebbe introduces us to the concept which we mentioned, levushim, the aspect of garments of the soul. That there is the koiches hanefesh, there's the strengths of the soul, the eser spheres, the 10 manifestations, the 10 illuminations, which illuminate the soul, gives the soul its power, give the soul its focus. It's in whether it's through wisdom, whether it's through the emotions of the soul, and then we have the soul's garments of the soul. And the Alter Rebbe said that there are 3 garments, a general 3 garments. There's machshava, dibur, maisa, thought, understanding. Thought is your understanding. Dibur is your speech. Maisa is your action, the way you garment yourself. It's also interesting. The Alter Rebbe then goes on to say, we touched it last week, that the garments, the ultimate revelation of garments of a person is his ava and his yira. This is accentuated in the story yesterday that we read yesterday. So we know that God calls Abraham Avram Oyavi, that Abraham he loves me. Oyavi, he loves me. Abraham loves the Eibishter, his chesed. We know that Abraham stood for the concept of kindness. He stood for the concept of kindness. Ultimately, after the test that God gave him, the Nisayon of Akedah, we see an expression in the Torah, right? The Torah says, the Malach comes and tells Abraham, you remember this yesterday? What? Do not touch this child, and do not do anything to him, because now I know, now I know that you're a God-fearing person. Imagine if, as I said yesterday, if the 137 years in the world, doing everything for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, giving away his life, giving away his family, giving away everything to serve God, and because he loves God. But the Eibishter says, I didn't know if you feared me. I don't know if you had Yiras Hashem. I don't know if you had the concept of the awe of God. I'm not 100% sure that you are a fearing person. Now, through this story, I know that you're a God-fearing person. What is the meaning of that concept? What is the meaning of that aspect? Until now, I didn't know that you're a God-fearing person. It means a person can go through life and he does the service. He's a good Jew, and he does every mitzvah, and he doesn't do any averos, doesn't do any sins, but it all could be because of his love of God. What's so terrible about that? And but it's not because of the fear of God. The beautiful story in the Gemara. The Gemara tells a beautiful story of two stages. Rav Huna and Rav Yosef in Kisma. Rav Huna was a student of Yosef in Kisma, lived under the Roman rule. And one day, Rabbi Yosef in Kisma, Rabbi Huna came to visit his teacher, Rabbi Yosef in Kisma. And Rabbi Yosef in Kisma said, "How are you doing?" He said, "I am putting myself in my life right now is in a very dangerous life because I'm teaching Torah, right? I'm teaching Torah, and it's liable to death. If you teach Torah to kids, you are in the Roman rule, you were put to death." So he said, I'm doing something that is extremely very dangerous for the sake of God. And I'm putting my life in jeopardy. So the rabbi said, wow, that's amazing. So Rav Huna said to his teacher, says, do I have Gan Eden for this? Do I, and ultimately he was caught, he was killed. So he said, do I have Gan Eden? So Rabbi Yosef in Kisma, he said to him, he said, tell me, I need something else to find out about you. I'll give you the answer if you tell me another kind of a story. Tell me what else are you doing? So Rav Huna thought for a moment, he said, listen, just a couple of weeks ago was the holiday of Purim, and I was out there collecting money for tzedakah for the poor people, And as I went through the day, I realized that my money and the tzedakah money got mixed up. My personal money and the tzedakah money got mixed up. And what did I decide to do? I gave all the money to the tzedakah. That's it. I took all the money and I gave it to tzedakah. So Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma says, wow, I wish I had a Gan Eden like you. That's the Gemara. So the question is asked, Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, the guy is putting his life on the line for Torah study. That, I don't know if you have Gan Eden. That your money mixed up between other money. Now you got Gan Eden. Now you have an unbelievable God. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any common sense. Right? I'm ready to put my line, which he ultimately died, my life on the line. For the sake of God, that I don't know. I'm not sure if you're going to have Gan Eden for that purpose, right? Which ultimately he gave up his life for doing that. He was not put to death for giving his money to charity. He was put to death because he was teaching Torah to Jewish people, and that was against the law. And he was put to death. The communists did that too, right? Put Jews to death because they were teaching Torah to students. So how do you learn that Gemara? How do you learn that Talmud? So the Rebbe answers, he said, because Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma said, wow, you are teaching Torah to Jewish children and you are doing this. All could be because you love to learn. I need to know something that you're going to do something that's not your way of doing things. I want to know something that you're going to do in this world that's not because you love God. I want to know something that you're doing in this world because you're in awe of God, not because you love Him. It's not your nature. So you love to learn. You're ready to go on Mesilas Nefesh. You're ready to go on self-sacrifice because you love it. And ultimately, anything of love, any aspect of love is, I'm the love, I love. So it's automatically, that's an expression, I love you. I love you, right? It's I love you. It's all about I. It should be really, you should say you I love. But I don't say that. I say I love you. I love you. I ultimately come before you. And that is Abba. That's Abba. That's why Avraham Avinu, which is love, is unbelievable. But it's not the ultimate aspect of Avraham Avinu. Because he could have done 135 years out of love of God, and that was his nature. He was a lover, so to say, a lover of people. He loved God. He loved life. It was all about himself. Now God came to ask him to do something that is a total opposite. Right? God comes to him and tells him, "I want you to sacrifice your son." Shugana request. We can all agree with that, right? A request that's not in the natural of any human being to do, above any aspect of human nature, surely of Avraham Avinu's nature. And Avraham Avinu says, Hineni. Avraham Avinu says, Hineni, here I am. And the Eibishter wanted, that's why it took 3 days to get there. Avraham Avinu, God wanted to know, is this a fanatic? Astam Meshugana? Or is this something that he has thought out? And that's why it says also, it's interesting, it says, Vayara Hashem, Vayara Makim Meirachik. Now, Avraham Avinu sees the place from the distance. Why is the word Meirachik? He sees the place from the distance. It means Avraham Avinu, in essence, was contemplating this situation. He was thinking about it. It was not something that he saw. It was not something that he could comprehend. That he understood what does the Eibishter want with this situation? What's going to be the outcome? What is going to be the outcome of the story? Right? I don't know what the outcome of the story. Every other thing, I can see the outcome of the story. I can see the pros. I can see the negatives. But when it comes to Yiras Hashem, I don't know the outcome of the story. I'm doing something because I have Yiras Hashem, not because I know the outcome of the story. It might be a good outcome, might be a bad outcome. I don't know. We'll have to see when it happens, right? That's Avraham Avinu. He just goes. He goes, I don't know what's going to be, whatever the Eibishter sees. And that's why after this story, the Malach tells Avraham Avinu, now I know you are God-fearing. Now I know not only now you're God-fearing, but everything else you did because of God-fearing. Everything else you didn't just do because you love God. because you also had the awe of God within you. You also had the fear of God within you.
You know.
Therefore, a person needs to have these two qualities: Avas Hashem, to love God, and also to be in awe of God. To both have both of them. To, in essence, do both of them to ultimately understand what the Eibishter wanted us to come down to this world for. That we should do things out of Ava because we love, and that's an emotion. And also to do things because we're in awe of God. We put God before us. We put God, Kabbalah says, accepting the yoke of heaven. To put God before us. And that needs to go simultaneously together. Really, it's not that some things I should use because of Ava and some things I should use because of awe. I should really simultaneously have Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. I should have love of God, and I do the mitzvah because I love God, and I do the mitzvah because I'm in awe of God. I can explain that into relationship and between each other. We should have both things. We love each other, but we respect one another. And if we're missing the respect, then even though we love each other, it's not a good situation. And if you just have awe and you don't have love, it's also not a good situation. There needs to be the mixture of these two concepts: love and awe, respect, however you want to express the word awe, respect. Fear, I don't want to use fear. Fear is very immature, but fear is a bad word. I don't know if it's a bad word, but again, it's politically not correct, fear, but okay. We should be in awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We should be in awe of God. We should have the awness of God. We should be in awe of each other. We should be in awe of each other. And that will give us respect of one another. We won't talk and we won't challenge one another. We won't put each other down. Because why? I can love somebody and still put them down. Truth is, we put our loved ones down. We don't put somebody else down because somebody else will give us a zets. So we put our loved ones down. So why? Because we're not in awe of them. We don't respect them. We don't have Ava and Yira. And that's why Alter Rebbe, whenever you see in Tanya, he always puts these two things together: Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Because if you have one without the other, you are imbalanced. You're an imbalanced individual. You need to be a balanced individual. To have Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, to clothe yourself with love of God and fear of God, to clothe yourself with these two attributes of love and fear in your life. You should always have these two concepts in your life. And that's a garment. That's one of the garments. That's the way it reflects in your garments. The way you have Ava and the way you have Yira is the reflection of your garment. You can say whatever you say you are. You can talk. You can say I'm a wonderful person, right? I'm a wonderful person, but you're not wonderful. But I'm a wonderful person. I don't care what you're a wonderful person in your inside. I'm looking at you the garments of the way you are. And if you're not a wonderful person in the garments that you wear, then you're not a wonderful person. A wonderful soul. I'm not going to take away the wonderfulness of the soul. But you're not a person, you're not a mensch. You're not a good mensch. You're not a decent individual. That's why one of the sages in the Mishnah said, what is the greatest thing of a person? Is life. He's a good mensch. He's a decent person. I don't care that he has godliness and his soul is pure and it's unbelievable. But he's not a mensch. He's not a life type. His Ava and his Yira is not complete, is incomplete. And therefore, what do we gain that he has a good neshama? What do we gain? Nothing. Nobody gains. He didn't come to the world to have a good neshama. He came to we all have a good neshama, correct. That's true. The neshama shenasat to be tahiri. The soul is always good. God is always good. And Baruch Hashem. But what needs to be done is that you're a mensch. And you have a good heart, and you express yourself in kindness, and you express yourself in respect, and you treat others with respect, and you express, and you etc. So that is the lavush. The truth is, the Alter Rebbe, right? The lavush is not only the lavush is higher than even the neshama, because the lavush, the garment that we garment ourselves, goes even higher. We shouldn't think that these lavushim are are under the soul. The levushim that the Eibishter gave, the levushim that God gave us, is Torah mitzvahs, right? So these levushim come from a place that is higher than the neshama itself. They come from God itself. Levushim is garments. These garments come from some place that's higher, and that's why they can garment. They give us they garment us, and that's why the first, as we say in the Gemara, the first question of when it comes to Maila is, were you a mensch? I'm not going to ask you about the soul. I gave you the soul. Yeah, I'm going to ask you, what did you do with the levushim? How did you garment yourself in this world? Did you garment yourself with chesed? Did you garment yourself with Torah, mitzvahs? Did you garment yourself with wisdom? What was the garments you did in this world? What, the way you garment yourself? And you're not going to be able to tell God, but I'm a good person. But I'm a good neshama. The Eibush knows he's neshama. He doesn't need to know about the neshama. He needs to know about the way you took the neshama and what was the garments you used for the neshama. And Chassidus goes even a step further, actually, today in Chitas. Chassidus goes a step further. The Alter Rebbe goes later a step further. These garments also give the tainig and neshama. These garments also give the capability for the neshama to have its revelation in heaven. And that is, in essence, if I don't garment myself in this world with these garments of Torah mitzvahs, I don't have a good world, and I don't have a good godly world. I'm lacking I don't have a good world, physical world, and I don't have a good spiritual world. Because why? The upper world, the godly world, the heavenly world is all about delight, revelation of godliness, and these garments give me the capability for that revelation. And if I don't have these garments, I won't be able to handle these revelations lamaila. I won't be able to handle these revelations above because I'm not garmented. It'll be too overbearing for me. And therefore, that's what the Mishnah says. What do you go to heaven with? Your Ma'asim Tovim, with the good deeds that your mental guy, with the good deeds. Tov, Shem, Tov, Mishem, and Tov. With your good name, you go in this world, and with your good name, you go in the world to come.
That's a great sage who said, I've never had a moment.
And physical joy. Yeah. I had only spiritual joy. I had only even the physical world, spiritual joy. That's it. It was all about my godly journey in the world. I had great physical joy. Rabbi Yehuda lived a very wealthy life, but he said it was not for my personal physical joy. It was my purpose in the world. It was for my purpose in the world. I didn't do anything that didn't have a purpose. Avram Avinu was a multi-billionaire. The Torah tells us, Baba Yomim. Avram Avinu came with every day with a purpose. Every day had a godly purpose. And as we learned last week, even his chesed was a godly purpose. It was not just the concept of chesed for the sake of he's a kind man.
The two kinds of patience I've always thought about was God saying to Abraham, you're going to sacrifice your one son that you waited so long to have.
Correct.
And the second was, you want me to cut off what? Conversations I have always tried to envision. And
At 99 years of age.
it doesn't matter when it happened, but still.
But that's the beauty. Avram says hineni. He doesn't say,
I'm here.
he doesn't have a conversation. He says hineni. He says, here I am. That's not a conversation. That's Yiras Hashem. Here I am. Here I am. We should all learn that expression. Here I am. We don't have the Mesiras Nefesh of Avraham Avinu. God is not asking anybody to circumcise himself at 99 years old. And the Eibush says our Mesiras Nefesh is not in comparison to the Mesiras Nefesh of Avraham Avinu.
There's not a lot of feeling going there. I'm sorry.
The Eibush says, there's feelings, Baruch Hashem. The Eibush says that with self-esteem, we have to learn from Avraham Avinu that, and from Sarah, both of them, that the concept of accepting the yoke of heaven, b'simcha, not only accepting the yoke of heaven, but accepting it b'simcha, with the aspect of joy. And how does one do that? That comes through Yira. That comes through awe of God. That's why it's the biggest struggle that we have. We can have a lot of simcha in God. We can have a lot of joy that we're doing God's will. The question is, are we in awe of God? That's what we have to work on. Are we in the awe of God? And the only way you're going to prove that is by doing something you don't want to do, and then by doing it besimcha. So we do a lot of things that we don't want to do, whatever, because we're afraid, guilt, somebody's going to catch us, or whatever. And then we can do it besimcha. We do it because we are happy to do it. We are enjoyed to do it. We are joyful to do it. And that's why the Alter Rebbe in this chapter explains the concept of awe, yira, not fear, but the concept of embarrassment. We are in awe of God. We're embarrassed of God. We're embarrassed to do something against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's an embarrassment. It's unbefitting. I always say that my father would say to me, it's unbefitting. He wouldn't say you're a bad person. He would say it's unbefitting. It's unbefitting. It's unbefitting a person like you to do such a thing. That's a much better expression.
Yeah.
Because that uplifts a person, tells the person he can be better. And we all can be better. So we all need to be in awe of somebody else, surely of God, because it's unbefitting if we're standing in front of God to do A or do B or think A or think C. Let's roll.
Not approve of whoever the president was in this country. When you're in front of the president, he's still the same way. You're standing in front of the king. You don't don't pick your nose in front of the king. It's not
Correct.
a good idea.
Correct. Well, if you do, you pick your nose in front of the king in Jewish law, you put to death. So thank God he's only the president. He's not a king. But
You are not.
yes.
You're saying that
The Torah wants everybody, the Mishnah wants that every person should be judged to the good. Good. If you're going to be critical about people, you'll be critical about everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not what the Torah wanted a person should do. So it doesn't make a difference. He's a president, he's a secretary, he's a congressman, he's a regular person walking in the street. If we cannot have respect, there's a big problem in society. And that's the biggest problem we're living through, disrespect. It doesn't make a difference. He's a president, congressman, or the garbage collector. We need to learn respect of somebody else, that we respect one another. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't have to do what one another does. We need to respect one another. And once you lose respect, you lose everything. You just lose everything. And that's the sad thing, what's happening in the world. The disrespect of one another. It's happening in the Jewish world. It's happening in the secular world. That we think because we have a different philosophy of somebody else, we can put the other person down. And we can tell him he's bad, and we can destroy another person just because we don't agree with him, and we think he's wrong. It's terrible, terrible midah. It's a terrible midah. Terrible midah to put another person down. You don't realize that putting another person down, you're putting yourself down. You're not putting the other person down. It shows what kind of person you are. That puts another person down. That's why the worst Aveda we can do is Lashon Hara. We're putting other people down. We don't realize we're talking Lashon Hara. We're just showing who we really are, not what the other person is, because most of the time it's not even true. So we're just showing I'm just showing what kind of person I am, that I can be a negative person. Talk negative things. I can use my machshava, dibur, and ma'aseh for negative things. That's it. That's what all it shows. That's all it shows. Yeah? So what a chachma is to show who I really am. I should look in the mirror, I should cry, do tshuva, that I can talk about somebody else in a negative way. Because that shows what you are. So it shows the garments that you go wearing. You don't have to be a genius. You look in the mirror. And that's it. So Lavai, we would always talk good about somebody else, even if we don't have anything to talk about it. Even if we don't. Right? Even if you don't, you say you don't. And maybe there's sometimes situations where you don't have something to talk. That's why the Mishnah says, maybe that time, just be quiet. Either talk good or be quiet. Please tell a couple getting married. This is something couples struggle with, and I fully comprehend it, because we all do it, and that is that you have to respect one another. But the second you talk down to one another, now you can't take it back. Very difficult to take back what you said. So if you call your spouse stupid, if you call your husband an idiot, or you say these kind of things, respect. That's it. Once you lose respect, it's hard to come back. It's very difficult to come back. You have to learn how to speak to each other and to respect one another, even if we disagree with one another. Even if we think the other person is wrong. How do you respond to a person you think is wrong? How do you respond to them? You tell them you're an idiot. You say that you're not right. How do you do it? You have to be a chacham. You have to know how to respond. And that's the difficulty in any relationship, to how to respond. And so too to the Eibishter. You know, when people talk about God, and my father, whenever we would say, like, even joking about the Eibishter, you know, in a negative way, he'd say, well, it's not going to talk. That's not the way that's not the way a person talks. Even in a joking way, to joke about the Eibishter in a negative way, because it's just not the way a person should express himself about God. You should be careful the way, even in a joking manner, to express yourself about the Eibishter in any kind of a way.
Understand?
Right.
How might take on it was?
Correct. I agree.
Judge the person.
It's just the way it is. So we have to struggle with that. And the truth is, the beauty of it is that the Alter Rebbe calls it levushim, because just like a garment you can change this. That's it. So machshava, dibur, ma'aseh, you can change. Maybe you cannot change your midas. So if you're a critical person, it might be hard for you to change that concept, your nature. So you might be a critical person, but the way you say your criticalness, that's your levush. Change your garment. You cannot tell me that you cannot change your garment. Just like any garment could be changed, so too this garment could be changed. So even though you're a critical person, then you need to make sure to have the garment of speech better. You need to you need to work on that garment harder. And Taka, it's not easy, but that shows you Yiras Hashem. That will show that you fear God, not because you're a holy person. That doesn't prove anything. What proves is the garment you're going to wear. If you're going to change your garment of speech, thought, and action, you will show who you are. And until you don't put on or change those garments, you're showing who you are. And you're showing yourself as a negative person. And you're showing yourself as a bad person. And that is it. Even though you're thinking it's all good and you're a bad person. Because that's your machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. You have machshava rois, you have evil thoughts. You have dibur rois, you have evil speech. And you have ma'aseh rois, you have bad speech. That doesn't make you bad. That makes you what you're doing bad. Change the garments. Start working on your machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. You're a good person. Your bad actions. Well, that's ultimately it's showing what that's it. You need to, if you're going to live a world that you continuously have bad actions, your bad thoughts, then that's who you are, and finish. You can't blame people. I cannot know what you are but the way you say something, or the way you do something, or the way you act towards me. If you're going to act towards me negatively, that's what you are. What should I tell you? You're going to tell me I have a good neshama, but I'm doing something bad to you. So that's what you're doing. You need to change that aspect, and that needs to be changed.
You can disagree with somebody without being disagreeable. They're different.
I heard Rabbi Goldberg once said the mitzvah is not to like somebody, it's to love somebody. That was his expression I heard him once say. And it's not to like, the mitzvah is v'ahavta you should love somebody. Love somebody, not to like him, not to like what the person's doing. Maybe the person doing something bad. How can I like somebody who's doing something bad? I still gotta love him. I still gotta love him. And if I love somebody, then I will respond to him differently. If I don't like somebody and I don't love him, then I respond. I can't say I love somebody while I'm hurting them. That's a crank of love. That's a sick love. That's not a good love. If I'm hurting somebody, I'm saying I love them. What kind of love is that? That's a sick kind of a love. And most of us do have sick loves. We have loves that are clothe themselves in negativity and impurity and etc. etc. But we all love. I love you. Sick way. An extremely sick kind of a way. We love the Eibishter in a sick way.
Could you give an example? I don't really understand what you mean.
God says to us, okay, I know I had to say something to wake you up, but
that's in the God's.
God says not my statements. The Eibishter himself says, I wish you would stop loving me and do what I say. Okay, that's it. You love me, and I ask you to do a mitzvah. No, you don't have time. So take your love and whatever. He doesn't say that. But that's my expression. Do what you gotta do. I wish you would forget me and do what you gotta do. So that's the way. So that's you know, that's a sure God wants you to love him. No, but to say you love God and then to do whatever you want, that's fake. That's not a real love. That's a Baba Maisa. So what does the Eibush gain out of this love? Nothing. I love you, but I'm not going to do what you want to do. Okay. So thank you, love. I'm going to do with the love. It's a sick love. It's not a good love. It's something is missing in this love. There's something corrupted in this love. And that's what we need to look at. Something is corrupt. And what is missing a link? Because the missing link is all. Okay. Feeling also. It's true to Shalev. I love somebody. I love somebody more in the loves. There's many loves. I love every Jew. I love my wife, hopefully more than I love every Jew. I love my children in a different kind of love. I love the Eibishter in a whole different atmosphere of love. But I need to have the unity of Av and Yira that makes sure that the love is real, genuine. And what is genuine love? Helpful love. That's why love is an expression. Love is an action. I can't say I love somebody and it's not a good love because then there's something wrong with the love. So love means if I love you, I am there for you.
Otherwise, it's self-serving.
Correct. And I have love. We all have love. I agree with you. We all have love. And this is a problem in any relationship. And that's like the biggest struggle is in a close relationship, which we truly love each other. But it's something there's missing a component in that love. We don't respect each other. We love each other, but we're not willing to put each other on a pedestal. We're not willing to do that because we feel that I feel like I'm putting you on a pedestal. I'm diminishing myself. So I cannot feel that way. I need to put you on a pedestal. Yeah, I like that.
Then,
Correct.
so we have to
So I can try if I want to translate that into an aspect of a mitzvah. So I can do a mitzvah. I love God, And I can do the mitzvah, not because I love God, because I feel godliness in that mitzvah. And that's divinity. I feel godliness. That's the awe of God. I feel the presence of God in the mitzvah. Not so much my love to God, but the presence of God in the mitzvah. And therefore, if I feel the presence of God in the mitzvah, I believe that's what you wanted to say. If I feel the presence of God in the mitzvah, then I will do this mitzvah out of love, out of joy, and out of awe of God, because I feel God's presence in this mitzvah. And that's what we should all ultimately feel, God's presence in the mitzvah that we do, in the good deed that we do. The Eibush just said there's no greater God's presence in the mitzvah when there's shalom, when there's peace between people. And that's where you show God's presence in any situation. So there's no greater God's presence, but in a family or in a house that is shalom bayis. There's no greater God's presence. There's no greater God's presence in a shul, in a community where there's shalom, there's peace. There's no greater God's presence in the world where there's peace in the world. Where there's peace in the world, because then we show that there's true God's presence in our midst. Right? There's peace in the world, peace between each other. Right? Because that's God's name. One of God's name is shalom, is peace. That's true peace, divinity. Not that we get along with each other, not we make a deal with one another, but the divine, it's divine peace. All right, the Alter Rebbe, I love him. Okay, so let's go in this Alter Rebbe. Let's learn him, right? Wherever you want to be. I think on the right column.
How about page 18?
No, we're holding page 14. So, 14, we're holding the right column.
I've run out of space.
One cannot truly cleave to him except through fulfillment of 200, because one cannot cleave to God except through the fulfillment of 248 commandments, which are the 248 organs of the king, as it were, as explained elsewhere. While fear is the root of the 365 privileged commandments, fearing to rebel against his being King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed be he. Or has a deeper feel than this, when one feels ashamed in the presence of divine greatness. That is the ultimate level of fear, that we are ashamed. God's sitting right here. I want to reveal godliness in the world. God's right here. How can I do something that's the opposite of godliness? How can I do something that's the opposite of the divine? If God is right here, how is it possible to do something that God would be displeased with? Embarrassment. It's past nicht. It's unbecoming. It's unbecoming of me that divine is right here and I'm doing something that's totally not undivine. To rebel against his glory and do evil in his eyes, namely, and the abomination, things that are hated by God, which are klippus and sitzachra, which is the other side, which draws in a nature from man below and have their hold in him in 365 negative commandments that he violates. That's the clothing. What is a klippa? A klippa is a clothing, is a covering. I'm walking around with many unpure coverings. I've covered myself, I garment myself in negativity. Why would I garment myself in negativity? Something that's an embarrassing to me, like a king who's walking around in beggar's clothes. Prince who's garmented in negative clothes. Why would a prince, why would a king garment himself in a negative kind of way? Why would you do that? It's an embarrassing situation. Embarrassing. These three garments, deriving from Torah and commandment, although they are called garments, that's going to my beginning of my statement, that these garments come from an extremely high place. Their quality, nevertheless, is infinitely higher than the nefesh, shuruch, neshama. So the garments, because since I tell you these garments are the Torah and mitzvahs, so then these garments are even higher than the soul itself, as explained in Zohar. Because the Torah is the Holy One, blessed be our one. So therefore the garments are part of, essence, a part of God. God gave us himself. He gave us these garments because he knew that the neshama would be elevated through these garments. The neshama would be elevated through these garments. The neshama will affect the world through these garments. Be a Torah Jew. Be a Jew that is has avas Hashem, yiras Hashem, love of God and fear of God. You're garmenting yourself with garments of God himself. That's what the Eibush is. Whatever he commanded a Jew, he does himself. God's a merciful God. God's a constant of chesed. God's all these attributes. And he's also the aspect of the Buddha too. Verity too. Meaning of that is the Torah, which is the wisdom and the will of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His glorious essence are one, since He is both the knower and the knowledge. So God, you cannot separate, you cannot put God into categories of the knower and the knowledge. God is the knower and the knowledge. He's one essence. He's existence, right? He is existence, right? The Tuesday night class. He is existence.
What is it?
Sit at the other side. The other side.
And it's the bad side.
Why is it written in code that like
Not in the code.
It's not exclusive.
It's not in the code. Sita Acha means that there's two sides in this world. What is holy and what is unholy. So what's unholy is Sita Acha, the other side. It's a Sita, it's not.
I worked on these words, but I can't remember it.
I know. Don't worry. Don't worry. Maisha, don't worry. Maisha, don't worry. Yeah, Jenny, what do you want to say? You have something to say?
I have a question about,
Jenny. What's your Hebrew name? Hannah.
I have
What's
a
your Hebrew
question
name? Masha?
about, what's that?
What's your Hebrew name?
I have a question about,
Can't hear you. Talk louder.
I have a question about when you're saying, like, so we're supposed to change our garments. So let's say somebody is unkind to you
Right.
and you are angry or you're hurt or they try to embarrass you or disrespect you in public or whatever. So then you have to find a way of, and you see this person regularly, then you have to find a way of dealing with it, right? So let's
Right.
say you make a decision to whatever, no matter what they do, you're going to behave in a respectful, kind way. But
Right.
you don't necessarily feel that, but you've decided to behave that way. How
That
does
is
that
your,
work with what you're saying?
I said it works perfectly. Have a Kabbalah kaladam b'seif upon him yafis. Put the garment of a positive attitude. Even though you don't want to do that, you don't feel you should do that, you should do that. That's it. Figure out a way how to elevate the person, to bring him out of his negativity. Don't become negative like the person that's negative. What happens when what happens when you become negative like the person negative? It's just two negative people. So who's you're both negative?
Positive.
Not always. Usually negative brings more negative. So the way to do it is to do positive. And the way you become positive is by acting positive. Putting on that garment of positive, even though you're faking it maybe.
Yeah, take it till you make it.
You're faking it, but it'll bring a positive entity, it'll bring a positive concept in the other person. If you respond to a person that's negative in a positive way, again, there's always exception to the rule. You'll a lot of times affect him to realize that he's not gaining in his negativity. Trust me, a person that's negative to you doesn't want you to become positive.
Right.
A person that's negative to you wants you to be more negative.
Right.
He's looking for the fight. If you come forward and respond in a positive way, you engage him in a positive way,
Yeah.
you're helping him, Pashat. You're simply helping him. You're simply helping yourself and you're helping him.
Coal into the fire.
This is what the Tzemach Tzedek said. We want to bring it down to a more practical way. Let's forget about somebody else. We think negative about ourselves. We put ourselves down. We think negative about ourselves. And the Tzemach Tzedek would always say, "Tzach good with zayin good," that a person has to start thinking positive about
There you
himself.
go. I like that.
And the more you think positive about yourself,
See?
the more it will be good.
See, positive.
You got to think positivity about yourself. That doesn't mean you have to fix the negative. I'm not here trying to live in a world of fantasy. You need to fix the negative,
Always.
but the way you're gonna fix the negative, you think
Always.
positive about yourself.
Always.
If you're gonna say you're a loser, so then I'm a loser. How am I going to fix something if I'm a loser? No, you're not a loser.
Never.
You are a important person. You have positivity. You have good things, and therefore you can do it.
I read.
You can do it.
I read on Shabbos that there was this one children that every day their child said Shalom Aleichem. Whenever they came, Shalom Aleichem with the told them that's what you have to do. It was ingrained in
Very
their
good.
children, and
Very
that's
good.
how they answered Shalom Aleichem with a smile.
We need to end off,
And
but I would say
smile.
you need to be in awe of yourself.
What does that
Adam
mean?
ohev esatzmai, the Gemara says, Adam ohev esatzmai, naturally a person loves himself. And therefore the Alter Rebbe says later, when a person has depression, all these things, they love themselves.
Yes.
They need to be in awe of themselves. They need to be in awe of themselves.
What does that mean? Could you
They
just-
need to realize how great they are. They need to realize how great you are. Whether you're great because Basha, you're great, or because you're great because you have an neshama, whatever it is, you need to realize how great you are. Very important to be in awe of yourself. And you know, when you're in awe of yourself, and you'll be self-respecting, you'll walk like a mensch. I once walked into the shul here, I'm not going to say, I saw two guys, they're walking like with their shirts out. I said, the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he walked into shul in 770 and he saw people with their shirts out, he would say, be respectful, put your shirts, tuck your shirts in. You have to have self-respect. A person has to have self-respect. If a person thinks, you know, I'm a schlepper, I'm a nothing, I'm a nobody. No, that's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for anybody. You need to be in awe of yourself. You need to know the greatness of yourself. And we'll do that, we'll be more successful. It's 11 o'clock. I got to go.
Minute.
And yes.
No, now it's exact.
Okay. God bless you all. I thank you all for this. I apologize. Next week is the convention in New York, the Shluchim convention. So I'm not going to be here next Sunday. I apologize. And for the Sunday class. And we need to have a no space. I agree with you. And anybody who wants to come.